Remember the movie Mean Girls?
Yes. How could you forget? It's like iconic.
And it is the epitome of, I feel like, the millennial culture. We are living in a mean girl culture.
I agree. Interestingly enough, it was just on TV recently. I watched it.
Okay, so you know that line, and she says, "You're like really pretty."
Yeah.
What happens when someone tells you you're really pretty?
I start feeling all weird and I trying to think of a compliment to say, oh, thanks, you too.
Yeah,
Like deflect.
completely.
It feels weird. And then I'm like, well, does she like why is she saying that? What is the motive? Is there something else behind it? Is there something on my face? Is there something in my teeth?
Right. Or if they compliment your outfit and then you're like, oh, I just got this on sale, or oh, it's from the thrift shop. And then immediately you're like, oh God, why did I say that? Is she going to judge me?
Yeah, totally. But you just said we live in this like judging culture. Everyone's judging everyone all the time.
I think we are the generation that is unpacking this, but the way we grew up was very much like women are competition, and there's all this comparison, this good than, worse than, better than, not good enough, etc.
Yeah, because it starts in like high school, right? I mean, you're the cool kid or you're the dork or kind of, the band geek or the jock. It just goes back to the labeling.
And then why is it so much about the way we look?
Ooh, I don't know. I think because that's the humanness in us, right? Because we're all so different. And so I think innately we automatically kind of just go into this comparison thing where I don't even I don't even think it is always an ugly place that we're coming from with the comparison, but the comparison is the thief of all joy. And you realize it once you like catch yourself doing it, but if you're not even aware enough to observe yourself in that situation, then you can't even stop doing it.
And I've heard that thing about like, don't compare yourself to other people, just compare yourself to yourself. But when we're talking about looks, that stresses me out too, because I'm like, oh, I had a really hot body then when I went on that vacation or in high school. But the weird thing is, I have never, I think, in my life felt like at that moment I had a hot body. But when I look back at pictures, I think I did.
Isn't that interesting? Because even as a professional bodybuilder, I have my own body dysmorphia and nobody really talks about it. And I've never really talked about it much. But it's really easy to watch yourself go from like a normal person to super shreddy Betty, like stage lean. But nobody really talks about what it's like to go from stage lean back to like normal person.
Ooh, tell us more about body dysmorphia because I feel like everyone needs to have an understanding, and I feel like we all have it.
I don't think I know anyone who doesn't have it, including myself. And to your point, even when I looked like the best on stage, I still was like, oh, I could be better, right? But
Yeah.
it's I have to choose in those moments and any other moment, like, dang, I look so freaking good. And then I look and you mentioned, how can it be you versus you? There is no way that I could be competing in bodybuilding for over 10 years if I was comparing myself to someone else every time. Because it really is you versus you. And as long as I look better or I've made some sort of a change between this show and that show, it really was me versus me because it's such a subjective sport. Life is so subjective. We can't just always be like comparing ourselves to everyone else. Like, oh, it's like I don't keep up with the Joneses. I don't care about the Joneses. Like, good for them that they have more. Good for me if I have more right now, right? It ebbs and flows.
Ugh, I do keep up with the Joneses.
That's okay.
Um, Actually, I take that back. I think there was a time in adulthood when I started figuring these things out, and I wanted the big Louboutin, I'm sorry, Louis Vuitton purse, and I wanted the Louboutin shoes, and then I needed the medium size, and I needed to drive the nicest car, and I'm like upward comparison, comparing, upward comparing. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
And I heard this concept once, and I think maybe that started to be the shift for me. And it was like, well, why don't we downward compare? So rather than always looking at the people that have more than and feeling this sense of lack, can we look at the people that have less than? And that seems really rude when I say it out loud, but then you realize, oh my gosh, all the things I have are really abundant, and I'm so blessed and honored and, feel so good about where I'm at.
Yeah, I think we probably, that's a learned behavior from those around us and our parents, right? Like if our parents were kind of always keeping up with the Joneses or always paying attention or always commenting about the woman that walks by in her high heels and her short skirt, and your mom maybe wasn't like super fit, she didn't do that. So it was like, even if she didn't say it, you saw the way that she looked at her, or you saw, the look that you gave your dad when he looked, right? Or I think it just goes back to conditioning and the already always listening of whatever we grew up with.
Oh, my grandpa, oh, God bless him. He was a funny dude. But he would, when he was, 94 years old at the restaurant, be like, you see that big fat person over there? And I'd be like, Grandpa, you can't say that out loud. Only the worst, hardest part is even me knowing. And I will say kudos to, I don't know if it's Gen Z or whatever, this younger generation, because they are very good about their
Body
body
image.
inclusivity.
Yes.
But I still find myself judging, and I love that for them, and I love that. And I'm like, good for you, girl. Like, way to wear that, even in my millennial mean girl culture mind. And I'm like, ugh, I could never wear that with those rolls or whatever. I know I sound like the worst snob. I can't even believe we're recording this. I am mortified right now.
I don't think it's a snobby thing. I think this is real. And I think if anyone is listening right now saying that they've never had that thought, then they are completely being the least authentic version of themselves. Now, granted, just because you have that initial immediate thought that maybe wasn't that nice, it doesn't mean that you sat there and then picked every single thing apart because you just said it right before that, that hello, this next generation just doesn't like it's inspiring that they don't give a shit and that's body inclusivity is become the norm, right? And I think that it's just our millennial brains that have been programmed in a different way because we didn't come in as enlightened as a lot of them. Now, a lot of them are also very entitled, which is not the same as enlightened. It sounds very similar, but it's not the same, right? And at the end of the day, you can look at any person and think one way or the other. And just because your initial thought might be negative doesn't mean that the growth that you've had as an individual, as a human, as a woman in your mid 30s and having, young children doesn't immediately connect that thought to, but good for her. I wish I had that confidence.
Ugh, I do wish that because every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, I need to lose 10 pounds, or should I get Botox? I have the 11s. Every time we look in the mirror, does anyone say something nice, or are we always judging ourselves?
I think that most of us are always judging ourselves. I know that even I judge myself quite a bit, but something happens when you turn 40. And it's like you don't do that anymore. Or if you
Really?
do, it's not to the same extent, at least for me. I know, especially off season, I have in the past been like, oh, I can't wear that off season. Like in my off season of bodybuilding, I wouldn't wear a crop top at the gym, or like little shorts. I would only wear pants or just like little things, right? But now I'm like, wait a minute, I'm freaking 41 years old and I look really good for my age. And I just remind myself for my age. And then I feel so much better because why am I comparing myself, like you said, why are we always comparing ourselves up versus comparing ourselves down? I look better at 41 than I looked, at 31, right?
That's
But
amazing.
I'm looking at myself now like, I don't need to compare myself to a 25-year-old. I'm freaking 41. What does everyone else that's 41 look like? Not me.
This is such a good point because, yeah, you are the hottest 41-year-old girl I've ever seen.
Oh, we don't have to go that far, but thank you. I'll take it. I receive. I receive.
Um, and it's like also as moms, like you're not a mom, and so you don't also deal with this whole body changing thing. And they say like, "Oh, be grateful you birthed children." But then it's like, "Okay, but you don't see that I have this C-section scar and above it I have like a shelf because of how it was sewn back together." And so I feel like I can never wear the low bikini and I don't want to wear the high one because I'm not that tall and there's no perfect bikini that's like mid-rise and I'm like I spiral.
It's easy to do. It's really easy to do, but probably you do some of this in like your quantum healing and your coaching too. Is it's like, okay, so the first thing was I have this scar, right? And I like to think that scars are so beautiful because they're another thing that makes us unique, that no one else has the exact same one, even if they had a C-section also. And I have scars, which actually you can't see, but I have two scars here. I have a huge chickenpox scar in the middle of my forehead. Scars are character. Like scars have a story behind them. And you get to decide what you attach, like what meaning you attach to that scar or that pooch that's above. Like you get to decide. And I've said this before, what we get to do is a gift and what we focus on expands. So what if one day you just started saying, gosh, I love my boys so much. Like I wouldn't have this scar if I didn't have them. How beautiful is this?
I know, and I try. I think this is just one of the really, really deep, deep ones.
I think that this is a deep one for the majority of women, if not every single woman that has had a C-section, which is probably a huge portion of the world because it's a scheduled thing, right? So then you're in control. It goes back to like masculine energy, being in control, right? And if you have a C-section, you're gonna have that scar.
Well, and it is interesting, and this is not the route we thought we were going to go, but I think it's important because you mentioned the scars, like I can make this mean something or not. And it goes back to this idea of, am I going to be shameful about something or am I going to own it and feel good about it? And
Yeah.
I think the C-section scar is a good piece to bring in because a lot of women who get a C-section feel like they kind of failed.
Ooh.
And I think that's so icky. And I also held these feelings for a while because your girl went through 4 days of unmedicated labor. Well, mind you, I got induced, but I wouldn't take the painkiller because they wouldn't let me go past 41 weeks or whatever the rule is. And it still ended in a C-section. And ugh, I don't know. I feel like
So you didn't want a C-section and you had a C-section.
I had this whole plan for water birth. I had a doula. I had the whole chart, like don't give vitamin K, don't do all of these things. It was perfect. I practiced all my, what's that yoga where you put your knees apart like the frog? I was like stretching, I was ready. And he wasn't ready to come out yet. And the hospital basically said, we will not treat you if you go over, I think it was like 41 weeks. So we have to induce you,
Hmm.
which is a whole nother episode and not what we were going towards. But my point is, every child, I truly believe, picks their birth date and how and when they're supposed to come into this world. And there's this whole school of thought around these gifts that C-section babies get. Um, And so it feels good. I don't look at my C-section scar and feel shame, but I think it's still just this like deep-rooted body, even body dysmorphia, maybe. My partner's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so hot. Like you look so good." He tells me this all the time. I'm blessed with someone who's great at words of affirmation, but I don't feel pretty right now, you know?
Believe it. Yeah. And I think it's normal sometimes, but again, I read this thing one time. I think it was something in a book or maybe it was an article. But it talked about this guy who loved his wife, like loved her. She was so beautiful, like never saw any of her flaws because he was just so in love with her. But every day she would she would point out her flaws, all of them, like, oh, I'm so fat, or oh, I wish I had a little bit less around my waist, or oh, my C-section scar, or oh, I wish my boobs were bigger, or whatever it is, right? Like all the things that we say. And by the end of it, they ended up getting a divorce because she talked about it so much that that's all he began to see. And then he
Ugh,
no longer was in love with her.
this is a horrible story.
I know, but I think it's really important to hear that, like, words matter. And if words and our thoughts are creating our reality.
Yes. And it's even self-talk. And you brought up my program, and it's interesting because I have been on this healing journey and I've helped all these women heal all these things, and never once of them or me has picked the self-image as the thing they're fixing. And why do we do that? Because what do we put on it? Okay, money or relationship, or it's all these other things, because you kind of pick one or two things that you want to focus on that are really stuck. And for some reason, that has never been the one that takes the forefront that women think needs precedence that we need to like solve.
Yeah, but at the end of your program, don't you think that everyone is a little bit more evolved in that?
Well, I do think that you have this greater understanding of your soul and your soul journey and how everyone's doing the best. And so you have this new view on life that yeah, it's not super deep. I guess that then you're right. Do I really need to solve this? Like, I'm fine.
Well, it's not even that. It's the same. So let's look at it from the other side, right? So I have people coming to me saying, I want to look different, right? And they think that working out is what's going to make them look different. But the reality is, and what I've learned in all of my years of bodybuilding and studying the body and food and working out and all the things, is that food is 80% of it. So if you think you're going to be able to outwork a poor diet, ain't happening. If your lifestyle choices are crap, you are going to look like crap. You're going to look like exactly the effort that you're putting in. And that's one thing about the body and image that you can't cheat unless you go and have some surgery, right? And you have a tummy tuck or whatever. And I'm not shaming that either, because if I had a bunch of extra skin because I lost a bunch of weight, like whatever, I'm grateful that all those things are there, right? But for me, bodybuilding, I was like, it was a bucket list thing, right? And I just wanted to look like that. But the reason that I kept going back was not because of the way that I looked. It was because the way that I felt from the inside. It was the inside that was changing as the outside was changing.
Ugh, that is so awesome. And when you were talking, it made me think of something because you said you can't outwork a bad diet. And it's funny because I feel like I have such a good diet, but I'm confused. Like I'm starving myself or I'm not eating the right macros in the right order because we don't eat seed oils. I don't eat gluten unless I go out. There's no cane sugar in my house. I don't eat dairy except for cheese. And it's like I've cut out all of these things and I feel like my partner is a chef by trade. Like he makes me these homemade meals. Like we don't even eat out. But then I'm like, okay, and I'm still stuck and I still feel like I need to lose 10 pounds. And it's just this confusion or I don't
It's a
know.
misunderstanding. It's a misalignment of what you think is going to make you look a certain way. But it's so much more than that. It's so much more. And I think that because the food pyramid is backwards and confusing in itself, and then people talk about macros, but half people don't even know what a macro is, right? Like what are macros and why are they so important? And that's kind of like what I coach people through is let's just understand like the overall, like the overarching basics of it all. Like
So,
macro is just short for macronutrients.
so can you give us like a little lesson? Can you dive into this a little bit? Because I feel like we're just all confused. I feel like we have these body issues. We don't really know what to do with it. And yeah, can you just dive in a little bit and like give the listener something that they can take away and be like, oh wow, I can't believe I never heard that before.
I think first of all, there's an entire billion-dollar industry built around words, losing weight. Everybody says it. I want to lose weight. I want to lose 5 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 50 pounds, whatever it is. Everyone's talking about losing something. And the entire industry, weight loss industry, is built on it, right? Losing weight, weight loss. But what is the first thing that you do when you lose something? If you lose your car keys, what do you do?
Frantically try to find them.
Right. And what happens when people lose weight?
Ugh.
Many times they gain it back plus some. Why is that happening?
Huh.
Because if the entire world was spoke into an existence, the entire universe, the galaxies, everything was like supposedly spoke into, like a big bang, whatever you think, there was some sort of a sound that brought it, right? So if we really start in the very beginning, it's a shift in how are we talking about our goals. And if you're talking about losing weight, you probably have already lost weight and put it back on, and you keep having this vicious cycle of yo-yoing.
Mm.
What if you just said, I want to shed a few pounds? Because when a snake sheds its skin, it slithers out of it. It never slithers back in. It never turns around and goes back over and puts it back on. It sheds it, it's gone, it's it. It never comes back to that.
Ooh, I want to shed 10 pounds. Okay, and let's take it another level further because we do rescripting in my world too. But if we're saying I want to, then that's putting it in the future. So can we say, I am shedding 10 pounds or am in the process of shedding 10 pounds? Or how should we say it so it's like, here, let's go?
Yeah, and when you say I want, it's also coming, it's a state of lack. So then universe responds to you to keep you in that state, right? So it's really instead of it's I'm shedding 10 pounds or I'm working to shed 10 pounds. It's an active motion. But also I'm gonna say this, and I wish maybe I'll try and find two pictures so you guys can see a regular me and a competing me. Because you think that you need to lose 10 pounds, but the reality is you need a composition shift. You don't
Mm,
need to lose anything or shed anything. You might just need a composition shift, which again goes back to the food
mm.
because food affects your hormones. There's frequency in foods. And I know you know about frequencies because you're in that world, right? But we don't realize that everything has a frequency. Everything we wear, our clothing has a frequency. Do you know what has one of the lowest frequencies and we're all freaking running around in them all the time?
Lululemon.
Yoga pants. Hello, I'm wearing them right now.
I know it's a freaking horrible and I love them. They're okay, we gotta find, please sponsor us. Whoever has the natural brand, they obviously can't be linen, but I've heard. I know there's a couple and I haven't ordered some yet. But yes, I know.
Contact us,
Synthetic
listen to the
fabrics.
car. Yeah. But so if foods are frequencies and they affect our hormones, and then you go and we kind of talk about the macros, so you understand that. But ultimately, it's a shifting of the mindset around the entire thing. Because if you cannot change your thoughts, your reality will not change.
So then that was a great reframe. I love it. I'm shedding 10 pounds. And then walk us through kind of the rest of your program. So then do you tell people what to eat or do you just give them the percentages and then do you craft their workout schedule or how does that all work?
I mean, so in the group coaching, it is, it's really a lot of reframing, right? And then I give you your macros based on each individual, but then also you have meal plans involved. If you want to work out, the workouts are there, but it's broken down into bite-sized pieces. Because when you think of like shedding 5 pounds or 10 pounds, it's kind of like the elephant in the room. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? Just one bite at a time. So if I can set you up for easy wins, then you'll keep doing it because you're feeling like, oh, I'm winning. But if we don't break it down into like steps and understanding why we're doing what we're doing, then you're not really learning anything. It just becomes a diet. And this isn't about a diet. It's about changing the way that we live so that it becomes a lifestyle. Something that, like you said, you found like freedom. I had a girl in my actually worked with one-on-one, and you can add one-on-one like into the group coaching too. You don't have to just go all in on a one-on-one program. But she loved potato chips. And she didn't ever want to keep them in the house because no matter the size of the bag, she would eat them, but she just felt like I shouldn't be eating them. She should all over herself all the time. I'm like, please stop shitting on yourself. Well, I should go to the gym. I shouldn't eat that. I should be walking more. I should eat more greens. I should eat more vegetables. It's like, stop shoulding on yourself.
Hmm.
If you love potato chips, let's make sure that we have potato chips in 3 of your meals this week. And she was like, what? I can't have potato chips. I was like, why can't you have potato chips? Because I'm not supposed to eat those. Who said you're not supposed to eat those? Part of the human experience is enjoying foods, enjoying orgasms, enjoying shopping and spending money and saying mean things and cussing when you're not supposed to, or whatever it is. Like, that's the human experience.
Right.
So if you can't enjoy the foods that you're eating, what's the point? And if you
Right.
love potato chips, why are we saying you can't have potato chips? Who said you can't have potato chips?
Mm. I love potato chips.
Who doesn't like salty, crunchy? Yes, we
Oh,
have to have. So it's all about, again, like reframing and saying, okay, so we're not going to eat a bag of chips, a huge bag of chips at a sitting. But that's what she said. She's like, I can't have them in the house because I will eat the whole bag. And I said, but what if you could have them in 3 of your meals and it wasn't about being a bad thing? And she was like, oh, I don't know. I just thought I wasn't supposed to eat them.
well, and then it puts her probably in this whole cycle of guilt because at some point then she makes the conscious decision that she's gonna be like, oh, fuck it. I'll get the bag of potato chips. And then she eats the whole thing because she already said that out loud and that's already what she expects of herself. So at this point, she might as well eat the whole bag. And then afterwards, she's gonna feel guilty. And
Yeah.
then the whole cycle starts again the next time she goes to the store and see that bags of potato chips and buys it.
The guilt shame cycle is real, but we break it by taking the shame and the guilt away from eating the thing that you like and you enjoy. So if it's
Ugh.
ice cream, then we find a way to work in ice cream a few days a week. And when you do that, it takes the power away from the food. And she was like, Christine, I don't even care about potato chips anymore.
You know what this reminds me of, even though it's completely unrelated?
What?
Slut shaming. Because you were like, we want to have the orgasm or we want to do these things. And why is this only on women? Or why is this only on like people that are, by our terms, overweight? You know, like maybe when you're in your 20s, you want to go sleep with some random dudes and let that be okay. But instead, we're taught through religion or through our parents or through save it for marriage or through these health classes that were supposed to teach us about the birds and the bees and actually just taught us not to do it or ask questions. And then when we're curious or want this human expression, then we feel bad and we end up in this whole other cycle. And then girls talk bad and then we compare each other and then we're at each other's throats again.
Yeah. And yet the guys are just over there. If you had a sex with 50 people, like you're cool.
Right. What the hell is this?
It's pretty jacked up, but it is what it is, and it is going to be that way until somebody breaks the cycle. And I don't know what the sex lives of these these next generation coming up that they are looking and feeling so great about themselves and will wear whatever they want, which we are so admiring about them. But then I don't know what their sex lives are like. So I'm curious now if, do they not give a shit about that either and they just do what they want?
Ooh, well, that's a curious point because are they so confident that they don't need sex to feel validated or whatever? So they actually specifically choose who they want to have
Oh,
sex with.
that just blew my mind because I did not, that's not where my brain was going with it, but that is a really beautiful direction to take that. How many
Because,
people were validating themselves by using their body in a
yeah.
sexual act or whatever?
I don't think I did that. I think mine was more, it was shameful and it was shunned upon and I couldn't do it. That then I was like, I want to do it. But I do it with like just my boyfriend at the time a
Yeah,
lot.
a lot.
But I'm curious, did you have a slut era?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I still I wouldn't say it was a slut era because when I think of a slut, I think like really high numbers, and I didn't have a high number. But whatever a high number is, that's subjective too, I guess. But I mean, I think that going back to self-expression, how can you expect your partner to please you if you don't know how to please you because you were taught that you weren't supposed to touch yourself? But we're humans, and this is the only time that we're going to experience orgasms is in a human body where you have thousands and thousands and thousands of nerve endings between your legs and you can't figure it out.
And it can be so, I mean, this is creation. Like, this is manifestation. Having sex is so juicy and can be so magnetizing.
It can be if you have a healthy relationship with your womb, with your sacral chakra, with your root chakra. There's some work like that can be done there too that goes back to childhood, that goes back to programming, that goes back to all of these things. So I think at the end of the day, the mean girl voice starts with the whole, "Ugh, you're like really pretty." But if a guy says it to you, it's a completely different response,
Mm.
right? But if a girl says it. So I actually love to compliment people. And how many times do you see someone's outfit and you're like, gosh, that is so cute, but you don't say anything? Or her hair looks so great, or you love her earrings when she walks by, or whatever it is, and you just don't say anything.
I
I
used,
started 2 years ago just saying it.
I love it.
And sometimes it catches them off guard, but because I really do mean it and it's so genuine, you can't fake it. You can't just do it just to do it. Like you have to really be like, "Dang, I really like those earrings," and then just say it. It's been really well received, but the random acts of kindness is sort of my like thing. I love it.
I love that too. There's been a few times that a stranger's complimented me, and it lights you up. It's just like, wow. I love that you do that. I try to do that too. Generally, I avoid talking to people, but I will do it if I make sure if I'm thinking it and it comes up that I do too. And I love that. We should all compliment each other a little bit more.
But it's also easier to give for me from that masculine side versus receive, which is the feminine side, right? And I don't know if anyone knows this, but your arms are an extension of your heart, and the right side is your masculine, and the left side is your feminine. And masculine is like giving, and your feminine side is receiving. And so it's interesting when you start learning some of these things, how if you have a tweak in your neck or you have some issues on one side of your body, like your brain is also opposite. So your right brain affects your left side and your left brain affects your right side. When you start just putting all these little pieces together and realize how powerful you fucking are, you realize that you're this magical little queen. And I think it happens around 40 and you just don't give a fuck anymore.
Yes. Two
But
years, here I come.
I do think that it is happening for the younger generation, and they are giving a lot less fucks a lot sooner. So good for them.
I know. Good for you. And good for the parents that raised them because that's where it all starts.
Yeah. But all the parents are doing the best they can with what they have.
True. And if our parents hadn't raised us this way and we hadn't, all been mean girls to each other in high school, then we wouldn't be here unpacking this stuff and now randomly giving strangers compliments and making their day.
I love it. It makes my day to make someone else smile. I think that's the biggest thing is how can you serve the people around you? It always comes back to service, whether it's giving them a compliment or sharing something that you're passionate about or asking someone not what do they do, but hey, who are you?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with a little bow here because we kind of went all over the board with this one and it's going to happen because there's so much to talk about. But if there were three things that we were going to share with them that we really wanted them to take away from this episode, what would that be?
Okay, one, don't judge others.
Okay. That's something in the Bible, I think, somewhere, right? Don't judge others.
Okay. Don't judge others. Don't judge yourself.
Okay, sounds easy enough, but we know it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, don't say something to yourself that you wouldn't say to someone else,
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
Because again, words matter. Our thoughts and our words shape our reality, right? That's what your personality is. That's your personal reality, is from your thoughts and your words. So if you don't love yourself, how can you expect your spouse to love you the way that you want to be loved?
You can't.
That's a tough one.
That
That's a
is.
tough one to hear. And
Yeah.
actually, it's a tough one for me to even say and hear right now because sometimes when you speak things out loud, it like hits different.
Yeah.
And I know that I am not the best at receiving. And one of the things that I'm not good at receiving is actually love.
Mm.
But it's not because I don't love myself. It's just because I maybe didn't at one point, but I do now. It took me a while. It takes time.
You are in the process of receiving.
Yes, I am.
I
I'm
am I am in the process of shedding 10 pounds.
I love it.
Okay, and so let's give everyone a challenge to do something kind or give someone a compliment or lift someone else up, even if they're in the same industry as you or, the same mom group or whatever. Just lift them up, do something kind without expecting anything in return.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna make it even easier for you because I think there's some people thinking right now, we don't want you to fake this. It's really more about doing it for the right reasons because the intention behind the things that we do and say is also really important. So if you do not feel genuine in complimenting someone in your group or in your industry or whatever, then don't do it. Buy the coffee for the person behind you in the car.
Mm,
Give yourself an easy win. I am all about the easy wins because when you get comfortable being uncomfortable with the easy wins, then you can start doing what could be more challenging for some people and give someone in your industry a genuine compliment.
mm. It's the ripple.
It's the ripple.